Have you ever wondered what really went down behind the scenes when one of the biggest hip-hop empires, Roc-A-Fella Records, started to crumble? The tension, the betrayal, the power struggles, it's all been whispered about for years. But nobody has given the full story. Until now. Beanie Sigel, one of the key players in the Roc-A-Fella era, is breaking his silence and spilling the truth that has been hidden from fans and the media alike. From heated boardroom conflicts to personal disagreements between Jay-Z and Dame Dash, Beanie exposes the real reasons why two visionaries who built a music empire together suddenly went their separate ways. This isn't just about money or music. This is about loyalty, respect, and the harsh realities of running a powerhouse in the hip-hop industry. As Beanie breaks down the events, he also reveals the moments that could have changed the course of NYC hip-hop forever, opportunities lost, alliances broken, and secrets that have shocked even the biggest insiders. Fans have speculated for years. But now the answers are coming straight from someone who lived it, breathed it, and survived it. Whether you're a die-hard Jay-Z fan, Roc-A-Fella historian, or someone who just loves hip-hop drama, this story is going to grab your attention and never let go. Every claim, every revelation, every shocking detail is something the hip-hop world can't ignore. By the end of this video, you'll see the Roc-A-Fella split in a whole new light. Be less and understand why everything isn't forever in the music industry. After years of speculation, Beanie Sigel steps forward to give fans the story behind one of the most iconic splits in hip-hop history. He starts by setting the scene in the early 2000s, a time when Roc-A-Fella Records was at its peak. Jay-Z was rapidly becoming a household name, while Dame Dash was the visionary business mind, pushing the brand to dominate not just music but fashion, lifestyle, and culture. The energy was electric, the ambitions sky high, and the possibilities seemed endless. But behind the glitz and glamour, tension was quietly building. Beanie explains that the early days of Roc-A-Fella were about family and loyalty. Every artist, producer, and executive worked together as a unit. Jay-Z and Dame Dash had a shared vision to make Roc-A-Fella the most influential brand in hip-hop. However, as money poured in and the spotlight grew brighter, egos and creative differences began to surface. Beanie recalls meetings where discussions over business decisions became personal battles, and disagreements that could have been handled in private slowly leaked into the public eye. According to Beanie, one of the first signs of strain was how Jay-Z started taking a more dominant role in the company's creative direction, while Dame Dash had always been the driving force behind the business side. Jay-Z's growing influence over decisions about artists, album releases, and marketing strategies began to create friction. Beanie describes the moment when both leaders realized they were no longer seeing eye to eye. It was subtle at first, with small disagreements escalating into larger conflicts that affected the entire roster. Beanie dives into the personal dynamics, explaining that loyalty was always central. To Roc-A-Fella's culture, artists were expected to back each other up, and respect for leadership was non-negotiable. But as Jay-Z's star power soared, some of the younger artists began gravitating more toward him, admiring his vision, charisma, and ability to navigate the music world. This shift didn't go unnoticed by Dame Dash, who felt that the balance of power he had fought so hard to maintain was slipping away. The tension reached a boiling point when certain business deals were presented to the company. Beanie notes that Jay-Z had begun making strategic moves independently, sometimes negotiating terms or partnerships without consulting Dame Dash. While on paper, these deals were beneficial for Roc-A-Fella, they represented a breach of trust that Dame Dash could not ignore. Beanie emphasizes that these actions weren't malicious. They were a reflection of two leaders who had different ideas of what the future should look like in addition to business. Personal relationships within the label were tested. Beanie recounts late-night conversations with both Jay-Z and Dame, Dash, where he sensed genuine frustration and disappointment. There were artists caught in the middle trying to remain neutral while witnessing the growing divide. Beanie explains how these internal struggles affected the creative output of the label. Recording sessions that used to be collaborative turned tense, and brainstorming meetings often ended without resolution. The passion that once fueled the empire now carried undertones of rivalry. Another major factor, according to Beanie, was the influence of external advisors and managers. As Roc-A-Fella's fame grew, everyone wanted a piece of the action. Lawyers, managers, and even media figures began subtly steering decisions, creating pressure and adding layers of complexity to the already fragile dynamics. Beanie reveals that some of these external voices encouraged separation, highlighting potential profits and branding opportunities outside the Roc-A-Fella framework. This advice, while lucrative in theory, exacerbated the existing tension and planted seeds of doubt between Jay-Z and Dame Dash. Beanie also touches on how ego played a role. Both Jay-Z and Dame Dash were confident, ambitious, and proud men. Beanie stresses that there was never any malice between them personally. Rather, was a combination of pride, vision, and circumstance that led to the split. Beanie recounts moments where he tried to mediate, offering advice and urging both parties to focus on the bigger picture. But by that point, the momentum toward separation had become almost inevitable. One of the most revealing moments Beanie shares involves a critical album release. He describes how decisions regarding marketing, creative direction, and financial arrangements became points of contention. Jay-Z's approach was methodical and strategic, focusing on long-term impact, while Dame Dash's style was instinctive and bold, often taking risks that could either pay off massively or backfire. This clash of strategies created tension not only between the two leaders, but also among the artists, producers, and staff who relied on their guidance. Beanie doesn't shy away from explaining the emotional toll. He describes the disappointment felt when a tight-knit team started to fracture, and how witnessing close friends and collaborators take sides was painful. Beanie reflects on how the split forced artists to reconsider their loyalties and adapt to a new reality, often balancing friendships with career opportunities. The Roc-A-Fella family, once united under a common vision, was now navigating uncharted territory, where trust and communication became fragile commodities. Beanie emphasizes the lessons learned. He notes that the Roc-A-Fella split wasn't just about Jay-Z and Dame Dash. It was about the complexity of leadership, the pressures of fame, and the challenges of balancing business with personal relationships. Beanie's account gives fans a rare insider perspective that goes beyond headlines and rumors, revealing how even the strongest partnerships can be tested when ambition, opportunity, and personal vision collide. Viewers are left with a deep understanding of the foundation of Roc-A-Fella, the personalities involved, and the mounting pressures that led to the eventual split. As the dust settled from the internal battles at Roc-A-Fella, the real aftermath began to unfold across New York City's hip-hop scene. Beanie Sigel continues his narrative, explaining that the split between Jay-Z and Dame Dash was more than just a headline. It was a seismic shift that affected every artist, producer, and executive associated with the label. The streets of Brooklyn, Harlem, and Queens were buzzing with speculation. Conversations in studios, on corners, and during shows were dominated by questions. Who would side with Jay-Z? Who would follow Dame Dash? And more importantly, what did this mean for the future of NYC hip-hop? Beanie reveals that for many artists, the decision was incredibly personal. Those who had signed with Roc-A-Fella during its early days felt a sense of loyalty to Dame Dash's vision and risk-taking had helped launch their careers. On the other hand, newer signees and collaborators gravitated toward Jay-Z, drawn by his unmatched charisma, business acumen, and ability to navigate the ever-changing music industry. Beanie describes the tension at recording sessions, where collaborations that once flowed organically now had an undercurrent of unease. 1. Particularly striking story Beanie shares involves an upcoming album that was supposed to be a collective project. Initially, everyone expected it to showcase the unity and talent of Roc-A-Fella's roster. But as the split deepened, disagreements over production, marketing, and features escalated. Beanie explains how some artists quietly pulled out, fearing that their careers could be jeopardized if they chose the wrong side. Others attempted to remain neutral, walking a fine line between loyalty and opportunity. The creative energy of the project was stifled, illustrating how business conflicts could directly impact art. Beanie also dives into the media's role in amplifying the drama. Rumors spread quickly through hip-hop blogs, radio shows, and street chatter, often distorted or exaggerated. Fans were given glimpses of tension without understanding the nuance. Behind it, Beanie notes that while some media outlets thrived on sensationalism, others genuinely sought to uncover the truth. For the artists, this constant spotlight created pressure to respond publicly, whether through interviews, social media, or even music. The line between personal feelings and public image became blurred, further complicating the situation. Another consequence of the split, Beanie explains, was the reshaping of business alliances. Investors, promoters, and executives who had initially backed Roc-A-Fella had to reassess where their loyalties lay. Some decided to continue supporting Jay-Z's vision, recognizing his growing influence and long-term potential. Others, believing in Dame Dash's street credibility and entrepreneurial, Dr. chose to follow him into new ventures. Beanie emphasizes that this realignment wasn't just about money, it was about trust, respect, and the understanding that the hip-hop game was changing rapidly. The ripple effects weren't limited to New York. Artists and labels nationwide watched closely, learning lessons about power dynamics, business strategy, and the fragility of partnerships. Beanie points out that the Roc-A-Fella split became a case study in the music industry, illustrating how creative, vision, business strategy, and personal relationships intersect and sometimes collide. He recalls conversations with younger artists who admired both Jay-Z and Dame Dash, but who struggled to reconcile their loyalty with the reality of the split, in addition to business and street politics. Beanie highlights the personal toll on those involved. Friendships strained, and long-standing relationships were tested as people were forced to choose sides. He recalls private moments when artists confided in him about their fears of being caught in the crossfire, concerned that the wrong move could end a career. Beanie stresses that this period was emotionally complex. It wasn't just a corporate disagreement, but a deeply human story about ambition, pride, and loyalty. Beanie also shares rare anecdotes about the impact on live performances and tours. Shows that were once billed as collective Roc-A-Fella events faced cancellations or reconfigurations as tensions became public. Collaborations on stage were limited, and planned appearances sometimes fell apart because artists didn't want to be seen supporting one side over the other. Beanie notes that the energy in these spaces shifted dramatically, reflecting how business disputes can transform cultural experiences for fans and performers alike. The fallout extended to the next generation of hip-hop executives and entrepreneurs. Beanie explains that many observed the split as both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. Some sought to emulate Jay-Z's strategic thinking, while others were inspired by Dame Dash's bold entrepreneurial approach. The story of Roc-A-Fella became more than music history. It became a blueprint for understanding ambition, risk, and the complex balance between artistry and commerce. Beanie emphasizes the broader implications for hip-hop culture. The Roc-A-Fella split wasn't just a feud between two powerful figures. It was a moment that defined an era. It highlighted how closely creativity and business are intertwined and showed the industry what happens when personal relationships and professional ambitions collide. For fans, it was a front-row seat to history, watching legends navigate conflicts that would shape careers, brands, and the music world forever. Beanie concludes this part by reflecting on lessons learned. The importance of communication, the inevitability of change, and the need to balance vision with collaboration. He teases that in the next part, he'll reveal insider stories about the aftermath, who thrived, who struggled, and how the legacy of Roc-A-Fella continues to influence hip-hop today. As the dust settled from the Roc-A-Fella split, the hip-hop landscape in New York and beyond had changed forever. Artists, producers, and executives had been forced to navigate an industry where loyalty, ambition, and strategy were constantly at odds. Beanie Sigel's insights continued to reveal the intricate balance between personal relationships and business decisions. Beanie begins by recounting how Jay-Z leveraged the split to solidify his brand, with Dame Dash pursuing independent ventures. Jay-Z had the freedom to restructure Roc-A-Fella and expand his influence into areas that extended beyond music. He formed partnerships with major corporations, invested in fashion, sports, and tech, and cultivated a network of emerging talent who would carry the legacy forward. Beanie notes that Jay-Z's approach wasn't just about money, it was about creating a system that could sustain itself regardless of the volatility within the music industry. On the other hand, Dame Dash embraced entrepreneurship in a more hands-on, streetwise manner. He launched new labels, signed raw talent, and championed artists who might have been overlooked by the corporate side of the industry. Beanie explains that Dash's influence remained deeply rooted in authenticity and street credibility. While Jay-Z was building empires in boardrooms, Dame Dash was shaping culture on the ground, nurturing the next wave of New York rappers and giving them a platform to thrive outside mainstream structures. Beanie emphasizes that this divergence in approach created a dynamic tension in the hip-hop ecosystem. Artists had to choose between corporate stability and street-driven freedom, between strategic alliances and authentic mentorship. Some succeeded in navigating both worlds, while others struggled under the weight of divided loyalties. Beanie recalls that for many, it wasn't an easy choice. Personal respect, career prospects, and artistic vision all collided in a way that forced tough decisions. The personal stories shared by Beanie reveal the human cost of these industry shifts. Friendships were tested, collaborations fractured, and the camaraderie that once defined Roc-A-Fella became a complex network of professional politeness and cautious engagement. He tells of artists who confided their fears, worried that a misstep could derail everything they had worked for. Beanie highlights that despite the drama, resilience emerged. Artists learned to adapt, to pivot, and to define success on their own terms. Beanie also sheds light on the ripple effect across hip-hop media. Blogs, radio shows, and video channels seized on the drama, amplifying narratives and sometimes distorting truths. He reflects on how this media frenzy shaped public perception, turning behind-the-scenes business decisions into headline-grabbing scandals. Yet, Beanie notes, this attention also created opportunities. New platforms emerged, personalities built their reputations, and fans became more engaged than ever. Watching the evolution of artists in real time in terms of music. Beanie explains that the split led to both innovation and rivalry. Albums released after the fallout carried an edge, a heightened sense of urgency, and often addressed the tensions explicitly or implicitly. Collaborations that once seemed natural became rare and highly anticipated events. Beanie recalls the excitement in the streets when two former Roc-A-Fella artists finally came together, whether on a track or on stage. These moments reminded fans of the collective power that had once existed while demonstrating how much had changed. Beanie also highlights the lessons learned by younger artists and executives. He describes conversations where emerging talent sought guidance, asking how to balance ambition with integrity, loyalty with opportunity. The Roc-A-Fella saga became a blueprint, a cautionary tale, and a source of inspiration. artists were reminded. By the end of this saga, Beanie reflects, the story of Roc-A-Fella is more than a tale of two moguls. It's about an entire ecosystem of artists, managers, and fans who witness the interplay of vision, ambition, and loyalty firsthand. He emphasizes that while the headlines focus on conflict, the real story lies in how artists adapt, survive, and thrive amidst chaos. Those who internalize these lessons went on to redefine what it means to be a successful hip-hop artist or executive in a constantly evolving industry. In conclusion, Beanie delivers a message that resonates beyond music. He reminds audiences that change is inevitable, that ambition will always collide with reality, and that legacy is built not just on talent but on resilience, foresight, and the ability to navigate complex relationships. For Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and every artist influenced by their story, the Roc-A-Fella split was both an ending and a beginning, a lesson in power, loyalty, and survival that continues to shape hip-hop culture to this day. The final takeaway Beanie stresses is that while history often remembers the drama, the true legacy lies in the music created, the careers nurtured, and the cultural impact left behind. Roc-A-Fella may have split, but its influence, lessons, triumphs, mistakes, and all endures. And for the artists, fans, and future industry leaders, understanding this story is a roadmap for navigating the complexities of ambition, loyalty, and success in hip-hop and beyond. If you've been following the rise and fall of Roc-A-Fella, you know that this story isn't just about music, it's about power, loyalty, and the decisions that shape an entire industry. From Jay-Z's strategic empire building to Dame Dash's streetwise hustle, the lessons here go far beyond the beats and bars. But what does it really take to thrive in hip-hop when loyalty and ambition collide? How do you make choices that impact not just your career, but the culture itself? Now, it's your turn to weigh in. We want to hear your thoughts. Which approach do you respect more? Jay-Z's calculated strategy or Dame Dash's hands-on authenticity? Who do you think handled the Roc-A-Fella split the smartest way? Drop your opinions in the comments and let's get this debate started, because hip-hop is nothing without the voices of its fans. And if you want to see the full breakdown, the insider stories, and the moments that most people never got to witness, you need to stick with us. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell. Make sure you don't miss a single update, because we're bringing the rawest, most in-depth coverage of your favorite artists and the secrets behind the headlines. Share this video with your crew, challenge your friends, and let them see the truth behind Roc-A-Fella, hip-hop power moves, and the decisions that changed the game forever. This isn't just history, it's a blueprint for the future of hip-hop. Engage, discuss, and join the conversation now. Your voice matters, and the culture thrives because of fans like you. Subscribe, comment, share, and stay tuned, because the story isn't over yet.